Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It's another episode of Leeds United Latest with myself, Stephen Brown, and joining me, as ever, to discuss all things the Whites is Jason Booker. We thought it was going to be another quiet week, but things have certainly got moving. Jay, Eric Cantona, Rio Ferdinand, Alan Smith. Joining those ranks now is Karl Darlow. That dropped last night. Karl Darlow is going on a free to Manchester United, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a few other bits as well. Harry Wilson finally signing, what's going on with the Shay Charles signing, another goalkeeper exit into a Champions League club. I'm going to talk a little bit about rumours of discontent in terms of a conflict on the direction of the club in the background as well. So if you're watching on live, please do get comments in. I can see a few already. Thank you for them. Like the video and also please do subscribe to the channel. Jay, well, there we go. It dropped last night. Karl Darlow off to Man United. And we were speculating last week, I wonder what's happening with that one, because obviously his contract expired the end of June and we'd not heard anything. But it's been confirmed that he's leaving the club after the rumours of it. What was your kind of instant reaction to that news about Karl Darlow coming through last night?
Yeah, I don't think I was too surprised, if I'm honest. I think the kind of length of time that it had taken kind of pointed towards there being a decision to make there. And the fact that he got 9 days into being a free agent kind of showed to me that there was something wrong, or not something wrong, but a decision to be made. The truth is that we don't know as fans what the conversations are. And I will always try and see footballers as human beings before being just this robotic kind of thing that we see them as fans. And, you know, the gut reaction from some will be, oh, he's a rat, he's going to Manchester United. Well, let's just take stock for just a minute. This for a guy that we brought in as a backup goalkeeper who was happy to sit on the bench in the Championship under Ilan Meslier and then ended up taking that spot. He was then happy to then be the number 2 again under Lucas Perry, because that conversation then happened and he again proved himself. At what point does the loyalty not work both ways? You know, for all we know, Karl was told he was going to be number 2. Now, way before this was confirmed, we've been linked with Streatham at Derby, Suzuki at Parma, a bunch of other goalkeepers. Trafford obviously always gets mentioned as well. We still have Lucas Perry. For all we know, Karl Darlow was told that it was going to be number 2, maybe even number 3.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We don't know, do it? Now, if we were told the information, well, it was told it was going to be number 1 at Leeds United or number 2 at Manchester United, then we can have a little bit of a conversation about whether that's right or wrong. But Karl Darlow's then 35. He's been given a 2-year contract at Manchester United with an option of a 3rd. And the likelihood is me and my lad were doing the numbers last night. And Tom Heaton we're getting paid 50 grand a week as a 3rd choice goalkeeper at Manchester United, right? Now, Karl Darlow's coming off the back of a really good Premier League season for Leeds United, and he's had to choose to move over from that rivalry. You're not telling me that wage is any less than 50. I would guess it's probably 60 plus. And again, I'm hazarding a guess, but he was on a contract from the Championship. The likelihood is he's probably on 15, 20 grand a week as a backup number 2. Sure, would have given him more, but is it going to be more than 30 at Leeds United? I don't think so. So you're talking, I worked it out, you're probably in the region of about 5 million quid. You're talking difference. So you've got to strip the emotion away from it and just talk about the reality and the facts. And I think I understand it. It's basically what I'm getting to. And for me, it's not in that rat territory. It's not a Rio Ferdinand. It's not a Cantona. It's not an Alan Smith. No. Not in my book. It's not anywhere.
No. Let's get to some of your comments. Thanks for all those. JB, lads, Darlow is a rat, just like the rest of them who have no loyalty. Somerville/Archie, out of all the clubs Darlow could have gone, he chose scum.
Yeah, but the money's just too much. He's not a Leeds fan. He's not a Leeds boy. You know, he signed here as a backup goalkeeper a few years ago. Can you imagine? The funny thing is some people will only be upset with this because he's ended up playing a few games. You know, if Karl Darlow had have been back up to Ilan Meslier over the last 3 years and then left on a free transfer to Manchester United this summer, would have been all like going, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? So I just don't. I'm not going to get invested in being upset about it when I think, one, we probably need to upgrade in that position anyway. You know, and two, there's so much benefit to the player, to the person. My concern with this is how it hamstrings us in negotiations for a new goalkeeper, because we've got a serious issue, haven't we? We've got we've got only one keeper left at the minute because Cairns ain't confirmed either, I don't believe. And we've got that keeper in Lucas Perry. We don't trust him, or Farker don't trust him. So we have got a bit of an issue.
Yeah, indeed, and we'll kind of dig into that. I'll just get through to a few more comments. CB, I hate the fact Darlow has crossed the Pennines, but he deserves some respect for the fact we may not have been promoted without him, as Meslier was throwing points away. Skip, I'm not too bothered with Darlow going Man United. He had a good season for us and was a big part of us staying up. He was only here 3 years. He's going to get more money. I have no hatred towards him.
Exactly how I feel about it.
Gav, morning all. Not looking forward to Dan James in goal.
I was making joke this morning with my cousin that it'll be goalie when. Like, whoever steps in box just goes in.
Okafor, it's your turn. You haven't been in yet. Get in there.
Get in.
Yeah, I mean, my take on it is, I'm absolutely saying it is not like those other examples. It's just not even in the same kind of stratosphere. I think you could argue in 2 seasons consecutively, Darlow has come in and I don't want to say saved the day, but the first season, Meslier was really struggling, flapping, knocking him in his own net. He's come in, Perry was going through that shaky spell. Farker clearly wanted to turn to someone else. And I think we always said, if we'd have thought Darlow was going to be our number one in the Premier League, we'd have been losing our minds at that. So big kind of respect for Darlow for what he's done. I think, it was funny. I saw a comment online and it was, he's just doing it for the money. And, it's like, well, you in your job, if someone offered you like 3 or 4 times the salary, you're going to say no. Darlow's not a Leeds fan. No. You know what I mean? There's no kind of, emotional connection there. It's like, of course he's going to go do it.
I think even if you were a Leeds fan, it makes it more, more difficult. But you've got to, when footballers become footballers and they go into the professional side of it, the support side dwindles, it disappears, it's not the same. And, you're talking about generational wealth. And don't get me wrong, the wealthy people, these guys, I get that. But that money will stop basically overnight come 38, 39, 40 maybe for a goalkeeper if you're lucky. Like, this could be... It's serious money. Like, you're talking millions of pounds difference. So you're not going to get me being upset about it. I'm disappointed from a perspective that I know that Karl Darlow's good for Leeds United. I'm a little bit disappointed from the point of Leeds United that we didn't sort this out in January, because Karl Darlow as a backup number 2 would have made a lot of sense in January. So we've probably dropped the ball in then, because the likelihood is that Manchester United and these other teams wouldn't have been interested in Darlow in January and would have been able to get it boxed off. But alas, this is where we are. And most of all, we are in a society where we should encourage and promote one another to be better and push on. And Karl Darlow's done that at a stage of his career in which a lot of people won't. They'd be happy just sitting still. He's actually revitalised himself, rebuilt himself, improved dramatically in his mid-30s. He's going to be playing Champions League football next season.
Yeah. You can't. There's just no argument against it, is it? And for him, God, what a year he's had. He was sat on the bench in the Championship, a couple of years ago, and now he's got himself a move to a Champions League club and a big boost. So you have to kind of go say, well played. In terms of us, did Leeds drop the ball a little bit, not looking after Darlow's contract? When did he break into the team? Was it around about?
It was January. It was January.
So it's one of those. The question is then, Jay, it leads us on to what Leeds United do next. I was hoping personally that we wouldn't have to have a big outlay for a keeper in the summer. Yeah. My kind of what I was hoping for was leave Darlow and Perry and maybe let them kind of battle it out for another season, and hopefully Darlow can see us through, or Perry can, be the keeper we all hope he is. That's not going to be the case anymore. There's even links for Perry now to Torino, so we'll see where that goes. But in terms of what Leeds United need to do now we know they've got we've got clarity. They're going to have to go do business. The Suzuki thing is obviously the one that's been grabbing the headlines, but there's rumours that he's turned us down. it is a headache. It was kind of the first thing we both said about it is, that's an extra bit of something to work out. Where's your head at it? What type of profile would you be going? Obviously, we've had a few names kind of bandied about here. Gav's mentioning Trafford. What would you like to see Leeds do here in terms of getting a new number one in?
I think the recruitment team are obviously going to have this in place. I think we need to be careful. I'm scanning through some of the comments. I think we need to be careful with jumping the gun on buy cheap, buy twice as an example of what one of the comments that I saw, because Karl Darlow cost us nothing, or 500k, and we're now currently upset about him leaving. You know what I mean? So it's that the fee doesn't always necessarily mean the transfer will be a success or not. We should have learned this by now. Tanaka, Ethan Ampadu, etc. Calvert-Lewin. Let's not do this again. The recruitment team have got most of the transfers into Leeds United right as well, so we don't want to be jumping all over them for maybe getting Lucas Perry wrong. As an example. Again, they got Karl Darlow right, so we've got to be just careful that we don't think, this is the end of the world. I still think there's a keeper in Lucas Perry, if I'm honest. I don't think there's a keeper in Lucas Perry for Daniel Farke. I think that's the reality. I think he would have come back in last season had he have had any sort of trust in Lucas, and he didn't. So I'm not worried about it. I saw the comment from Skip a minute ago basically saying that it does put us in an uncompromising position with other teams because they know that we desperately need a keeper. That is true. But as long as they're not going to sell Lucas Perry until something happens somewhere else. And I would imagine then I think we'll end up signing 2 goalkeepers, probably. Cairns might come back in as the number 3, but even if he does, there might be a situation where we actually want 4, 3 actual ones that are going to play, and then Cairns doing the mascot role that he does. So, what do I want to see happen? I don't want to see Ramsdale. Absolutely not. And I know that'll be one that gets bandied about. Absolutely not. The guy is horrendous. He's awful. He's just awful. And there's a reason that he couldn't displace a really out of form Nick Pope last season. The guy just keeps on getting relegated as well. And he probably belongs in the Championship. He's probably where he belongs at Southampton this season. He needs a rebuild season. No, not for me. Trafford, I think Trafford's too easy of a name. I think he'll just cost too much.
Yeah.
I don't think Trafford's going to cost the Suzuki money. I think he's going to cost 50 million. But Man City don't need to sell him. They don't. Yeah. Why would they? He's young, he's English. They can see him develop. They might send him out on loan. Maybe we could get him on a season-long loan for development purposes. I doubt it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, indeed. Some brilliant comments coming in. Imagine not being Leeds. Hey, lads, first time listening to Grafting in the Heat with some great Leeds chats. Very welcome. So thank you. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate that. Darlow going means there's money to spend, so we could... Darlow going, means there's money to spend we could have avoided, but 49ers we trust. Absolutely. Yeah, and I did see John's, why are we not in for Ramsdale? Always thought he was a good keeper, and then Gav summing up our thoughts. No. Skip, I think the problem we have, how much is bringing in a top keeper going to bite into our transfer budget and affect other positions. Effortless, the issue is budget. We need a new centre-back and goalkeeper, which is 50 to 60 million plus 30 on Charles. We wanted to strengthen attack, but probably need 2 goalkeepers. Doesn't leave much for attack. If DCL gets injured, we go down. Well, this is the thing. That I understand that because to avoid having. How much are you spending for a top keeper now? We're probably going to have to spend 20 million plus at least, unless you get some bargain on the continent for 10 million who turns out to be good enough. It is a chunk out of your budget, and there's limited funds. We know that. And for me, there's still a lot of work that needs to happen in the attacking areas, which generally speaking costs even more. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do and how they handle this. Yeah,
it's going to be a really difficult one to navigate. Really, really difficult one to navigate. But they've got the budget, they've got the recruitment strategy. They've made top acquisitions before, haven't they? How much does a top centre back cost? But we went out and got Jacobi off for 15 million quid. You know what I mean? These transfers are out there. You just need to be in the right place at the right time, of the right profile. And the truth is, we need to spend bigger in fewer positions. Ultimately, there'll still be business that needs to be done after the transfer window. They absolutely will be, because there always is, isn't there? Clubs always need to progress. But we've already started off by improving in the attacking areas with Harry Wilson. And so we've got one done off the books there already, and that's a free transfer. So it kind of, if we were going to spend 15 million quid on a goalkeeper, we can now spend 30, because we've not spent any money at all on one of the attacking positions that we desperately needed to fill out. I do think there'll be sales as well. You know, we do need to remember that we've not made any outgoings yet other than Pascal. I mean, Pascal's already covered the majority of £30 million goalkeeper. So there's budget there straight away. So I'm not overly worried about the money side of things. I think they'll get this right. And I don't think we need to be in this like panic stations that some people are getting into with regards to, like, if we don't do this, if we don't do that. The Premier League this season will be weaker than it was last season.
Yeah.
It'll have to be a monumental balls up for us to go backwards, given the fact that we're going to improve. We've had a year of experience. You know, this team have already shown to be good enough to stay up anyway. I mean, this team were really probably on the table short, maybe 6 or 7 points, maybe even a few more. I think we showed enough to be able to finish in and around 10th to 12th last season. So with a few proper additions, why would we be thinking about this team going backwards when the Premier League has actually got worse? There's more points on offer with the 3 teams that have come up compared to the 3 teams that have gone down. So yeah, I'm not overly worried about it all. I think I've mentioned the Derby keeper Stretterson. He could be a keeper that won't Zetterstrom. I always pronounce it wrong. He'll be a keeper that won't cost that much. In the last year of his contract, he's a good keeper. Played with Sweden in the World Cup as well, and he might be one that comes in alongside another one. If Lucas goes, that'd make a lot of sense that Zetterstrom might have a season on the bench. You know, he might have it sold to him that, look, you're not going to have a guarantee of a first team spot, but you can make it yours. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Some great comments coming up as well. Paul, thank you, mate. Get keeper right and we can be set for years. Also, a good keeper is worth minimum 6 points a year. Effortless, we need a striker. Also, contract discussions for Mecha, Aronson and Gruev.
Just bring that comment up from John as well, just before, and then carry on.
Is it this one?
That one, yeah. Because I just think this is a really interesting kind of thing when people provide debates between players, because that doesn't equate, does it? You know, no. Ronnie Warwick played for Manchester United, but would you have said he were a better footballer than David Batty? You know, like, it just doesn't matter, does it? It means nothing. Ramsdale got a good move to Arsenal on the back of getting relegated twice, I think it was, and then pretty much instantly got bombed out to a top-end championship, bottom-end Premier League keeper at the time in David Raya. And Ramsdale was quickly sold on from Arsenal, wasn't he? So he's horses for courses. You just use your eyes and watch what you watch. Ramsdale reminds me of Paul Robinson back in the day, where he always seemed to dive too late. He sees the ball coming, but the ball's already passed him before he's actually making the attempt to save it. So for me, Ramsdale's a hard no.
Yeah. Phil, hi mate, and everyone in the Premier League never gets weak. I know there's CB was saying Cooper from Sheffield United would be good if they were selling him. I know he kind of had a bit of a reputation. Yeah, before, wasn't it? A couple of years ago, it was like, oh, he's looking decent, but yeah, not great.
Just on that previous comment from Philip, do you agree with that or do you disagree with that? Like, so I think the Premier League this season, without Wolves, Burnley, and predominantly West Ham in comparison with Coventry, Ipswich, and who came up playoffs?
Burnley, Leeds, and
no. Who came up this season?
Oh, this season, Coventry,
Ipswich.
Who was the
Hull. I mean, come on now. How are you telling me that them three are stronger than West Ham, Wolves, who have been an established Premier League club as well, and even Burnley? I mean, I would put all three of them behind Burnley. Burnley are a very experienced Premier League team. You know, yeah, they've been up and down, but they've got the parachute payments. They're still building around being in the Premier League, whereas the other three are not. I think it's a huge gulf between. And then you look at that exactly. You look at some of the teams in the bottom half, the likes of Palace and some of the others that have also had change of managers and things like that. I think Fulham will be in and around it this season. So I think it's considerably weaker this season. I don't think it continuously just gets better.
No, I think those three teams coming up, they'll be having the exact same conversation that we were having last year. Is like, who do you replace? Which established entity are you going to replace? Now, the real amazing thing about last season is 2 established teams went down.
Yeah.
To think that was going to happen again, you'd be doubtful. But I do understand that Leeds United will be in the crosshairs of Coventry, Hull, and Ipswich. They'll be looking at Leeds as a team they can replace way more than the majority of the other teams, obviously. So, yeah, we get that. Liam, thanks for your comment, mate. Think about our goalkeeper history. Vivo, Kenny, Silvestre, Casilla, BPF, Robles, Mesley. I have zero connection or feelings about our goalkeepers because they are so historically bad in recent times. I mean, we've been through the works, haven't we?
We have had some shockers. We have had some shockers. I mean, there's others in there as well. But we have had some good ones too. Rob Green had a good spell at Leeds United. I know you make the point about Silvestre, but Silvestre had a period of time where we were pretty good as well. Karl Darlow, I'd say, would probably be in the realms of good. Neil Sullivan, Casper Ankergren in the League One days. We have had some all right ones as well.
Yeah. Question here from Skip. Do you think we're looking for a striker to replace DCL or be a backup to him, and getting Wilson in gives Farker some attacking options? And we should mention, obviously, the Wilson deal now done, Jay. And already it feels like a massive uplift to what we were kind of thinking about last season. I mean, you're thinking we've signed another Premier League's team's player of the season for free. I mean, doesn't really get better than that, does it? No,
you've signed Fulham's player of the season. You signed the Premier League's goal of the season player as well, worth remembering. I also think, and I've said this a few times and somewhat agree, but if you go back and remember being sat in that time watching the Premier League, between the beginning of the season and January, Harry Wilson was the best player in the whole of the Premier League. He was the most informed player in the whole of the league. Goals and assists on such a regular basis. He's 29-year-old, over 150 Premier League games experience. He, he's well established. He's at a great age. He's in his prime effectively, and we've got him for free. He is a profile that we don't have in the rest of the team. Somebody that can cut in from that right-hand side on a sweet left foot, can score goals from all over the pitch. He can score wonder goals as well. He's a free kick specialist, especially them ones that are really close to the edge of the box. I know Anton Stack's a very good free kick taker, and the one against Villa the one against Palace was very, very close to the edge of the box. But he's not really a player that hits a free kick where it can go up and over the wall at close range. Harry Wilson is, so it'll give us other options, set pieces, corners. Anton Stack can get in the box at 6'4" now, and Harry Wilson can be whipping him in. I just think it's a top signing that elevates the whole squad completely. It gives us. I don't even mind having Dan James on the bench for a season. I really don't. If Harry Wilson's the main starter out on that right, and Dan James can come in and give us something different, it's not the end of the world for me, because we've still got other options. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the other lads that can play in them positions: Ramazani, Jack Harrison, Willie Nonto, more probably prevalently. And then seeing if we can get somebody out on the other side alongside Noah Okafor that can give us something different down that side. I'd like to see maybe, like Dan James on the right-hand side, a left-footed byline kind of winger. So Noah starts the game, can cut inside, do what he does so well, but then we get somebody on that can maybe change the game up and go down the byline, whipping crosses into Calvert-Lewin. So, and as regards the question with regards to somebody alongside Calvert-Lewin for the striker, I think we will be looking. I think the club will definitely be looking for another 9 option to replace Joel Perreault, but it's got to be the right profile. And
how do you sell that as well? How do you sell that to a place that you're basically not going to displace DCL unless there's an injury, you would think?
Well, you have to sell it along them lines, don't you? Any injuries, you're going to be first choice. You're going to be learning off him for a couple of years. He's now 29, 30. Who knows what's going to happen with his future? If he shows a dip in form, you're going to get substitute opportunities. The great thing with a striker is you can come on for 10, 15 minutes and make a massive impression, can't you? So that's why I say it's got to be the right profile, the right age, somebody that's prepared to kind of earn their shot. Or you go for somebody like Brentford have done with Callum Wilson signing at Brentford from West Ham. You go for somebody in and around that kettle of fish.
I didn't know they've done that.
Well, they've signed Jadon Anthony and Callum Wilson, so I'm not sure about their recruitment this summer so far. But it depends on, again, how it's profiled, doesn't it? Because look, you're going to come and sit on the bench behind Thiago. That's your role. If you get opportunities, you get opportunities. And Callum Wilson's happy to still be in and around the club, isn't it? So, but, you know, if we go with Metcher and Calvert-Lewin and sign somebody that kind of fills that third spot role that's maybe not ready yet, but is getting there, I'm all right with that. This is where we need the youngsters to be coming through. Yeah. You know, before people say Harry Gray, not yet. He's 17. He's got League One. He's going to be at the top end of League One next season. Hopefully, he'll have a great season and he'll develop. But we need somebody maybe a couple of years in front of that. You know, like when you know, Bournemouth look like they're going to sell him for ridiculous money now. But when they signed Krupe, they signed him an 18-year-old from the continent. Somebody like that's prepared to have a season under Calvert-Lewin and then make that position their own in 12 months, 18 months' time would be perfect.
Yeah, agree. Chris, where's Paul Rachubka up to these days?
What a day.
Let's have a look. Nige, morning guys. Thank you, Carl. Good luck. I don't blame him for securing a better contract. We assume at 35. We need to sort out our goalkeeper situation. Can't see Trafford coming to Leeds.
It's funny the 50-50 perspectives between fans, isn't it? Literally half of the chatter scum, half of the chatter get it, understand it, thank you. You know what I mean? It's funny, isn't it, how it can divide opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew Wilson now gives Statmore in opposition box on corners and free kicks. Indeed. So we've got Wilson now. We should mention. I just wanted to pull this up as well. Our two keepers have gone to Arsenal scum now. We couldn't have predicted that, could we? We've got to make mention of the fact that Illan Melia has secured himself a contract at Arsenal, which I think took everyone by surprise. Signing up as is either going to be. There's a possibility it might be third choice keeper, not even second choice keeper, isn't it? So I'm delighted for him that he's doing that because I think obviously it's been a very difficult couple of years for him. So it's good that he's got himself a move. Again, the money he'll earn more doing that than if he went to rebuild himself in the French league at a lower club, all that kind of thing. But at 26, 27, if you're settling into a third choice role, that's probably going to be it, isn't it, now for the foreseeable, would you say? Or, I mean, because if you're not playing at that age, then, you know, what? Yeah, I don't know. I half expected him to end up somewhere where he'd be playing week in, week out. But if you get an offer like that, I mean, it's another level, isn't it?
Well, apparently he's turned down Birmingham. He were offered Birmingham as a first choice. You see some keepers have this kind of career where they hit the scene, they play a load of games, and then something happens or a move happens where they end up then being number 2 or number 3 for the rest of the career. Scott Carson's a great example of this. You know, Scott Carson were playing week in, week out at Charlton and a couple of others that he had on loan, and then he made a move to Liverpool, had a series of years where we were number 2. Then he went to Derby and started playing again regularly. And then he went, obviously, famously, he had like 7 seasons at Man City without even ever getting on the pitch. So, and some keepers do that. Karl Darlow's another one. Karl Darlow's kind of fallen into that pattern over some periods of his career. Maybe that's Illan's future. Again, who can blame him? Like, sure, every footballer would prefer to play week in, week out for their clubs. But, you know, if he's going to be challenging for Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues and FA Cups and League Cups, and he's going to be in a dressing room where he's supporting that, and he might get the odd game here or there in the Cup, or, you know, it comes in for injuries, he might have the opportunity to actually stake his claim to be Arsenal's number 1 one day. And he's doing it all on more money. I mean, the guy will have failed upwards massively this summer. Because he didn't play last season. We all know the season that he had the season before that. He won't have been on huge money in perspective. Arsenal will have definitely given him an increase of some sort. He gets some security, goes down to London. And I think from an Arsenal perspective, they've signed a keeper probably 3 or 4 years away from his prime, because keepers don't hit the prime until about 28, 29, 30. So it's a no-brainer. I actually think it makes a lot of sense from Arsenal's point of view. The only reservation I would have from an Arsenal perspective is if Raya gets a long-term injury early in this season, before Illan's had the opportunity to rebuild confidence, what's that going to look like? Because we don't even know what Illan Melia looks like now, because we haven't seen him for 18 months. No. What is left of him as a top-level goalkeeper? We don't know, do we? So I think it's fascinating. The rumor is that Kepa's going to move on, which makes sense. He's probably going to want to play, and he could. I think the problem that Meslier has had is he wouldn't have been able to get a first choice gig in the Premier League.
Yeah,
that's his biggest issue. So he's had to kind of make this move. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
Gav, as well, by the way.
Yeah. Us have a very good goalkeeping coach. He'd probably gone for that to rebuild. Paul, this will be a hard life. 50k a week, no stress. Do you know what I would love?
I bet it's more than that.
I think that's my dream career would be third choice goalkeeper. You hit some kind of like homegrown kind of eligibility thing, and you just chill out on like. Yeah. You don't even have to have the stress of like actually performing. I mean, it's God, what a gig!
It's the dream job in football, isn't it? Third choice goalkeeper. You go and watch your team week in, week out, front stands. You get to wear all your smart clothes and look cool like Ilan has for last year. You know, maybe Ilan's looks at it for last year and be like, "It's all right. This I can get on board with this." You know, I bet he's on 70, 80 grand a week. I bet he is.
Yeah,
and he'll be
they pay like nothing, don't they? Them type of clubs, they pay like 60, 70 like it's a chunk of change, isn't it? Yeah. Good stuff. Couple other bits then. And by the way, I can see a lot of comments coming in. Thank you so much for them. Please do like the video. That would be really appreciated. Get it shared as well. Get subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much. Shay Charles, a deal that's kind of rumbling on and on and on. It was announced yesterday that Crystal Palace and Fulham have declared interest and they're pursuing a deal as well. What's your gut telling you about this one so far? We've been talking about this one for what feels like 4 weeks or something now, and it seems to be stalling. We don't really know what's going on in the background to it, but what's your feelings on this one now?
Well, you asked me this a week ago.
Yeah,
and I'm going to give you the same answer. It feels to me like we've probably hit a ceiling of what we're prepared to go for, and Southampton are trying to push that boundary, and we're not prepared to move anymore. And I respect and appreciate and think that that's absolutely fair. I think that's absolutely fair. He's not one of a kind. There's plenty of other midfielders that offer the same things that Shay Charles offers, and the likelihood is with Shay Charles is coming in with probably in direct competition with Ethan Ampadu for that role within the squad. So I'm not so sure. I don't think it feels to me like somebody else will come in and pay what Southampton will want, and I'm okay with that. It feels similar to the Noah Siddiqui Diarra situation with Sunderland last year, where I can't remember which one of them it was. I think it was Diarra more than Siddiqui, but Diarra, it was Diarra. Diarra ended up costing 35 million. And for me, it wouldn't have been. When you consider that then we went and got stacked for between 18 and 20 million, it was the right decision to move on and go to another option. So yeah, I feel like that about it. I'm not upset. I think it'd be a good signing, but alas, we will sign someone else.
Yeah, indeed. Now, something I do want to talk about. The Harry Wilson article came out in The Athletic, a little bit of an interview, and there's reference to potential formations that Leeds are going to be playing next season, and a little bit of a kind of dispute. And there's been a few Twitter rumours, however, seriously, you take them. I just want to pull up Effortless's comment on this. 4 at the back didn't work last season. Nothing has changed, so why would it work now? Silly if Leeds make signing to change, then sure. But right now, based on our squad history, it says no. So there's a rumour from a couple of accounts coming up that there's a bit of a split in terms of where Farke's wanting to take this team, maybe stylistically, all that good stuff. Kind of stuff that he hinted at in that press conference, we remember, towards the end of last season. But the board are pragmatic. Board are, they've got maybe a different idea of how this goes forward. We obviously had Robbie Evans comment, it's another consolidation year. The aim this year is to consolidate again. From my fan perspective, I would take 17 plus now. 100%. For me, it's a survival year. I would love, the dream for me would be a more comfortable survival. So maybe you're not in the conversation for relegation as long as we were last season. And maybe, you can keep your head above water earlier for longer kind of thing. I would love that. But what do you think? I mean, it's gone quiet in terms of Farke's future as well. He's got a year left on his deal. We've not heard anything about potential new deals there. We've had this kind of press conference that I mentioned with Farke at the end of last season. Do you think there's possibly a slight diversion of where one party wants to go and another party wants to go?
I think Farke will obviously always want more to be able to make the job easier. The more hamstrung he is and the slower it is to progress the squad, the more difficult the job will be for him. The job that he did last season was sensational. It was really, really sensational. I spent all season telling everybody that the team that we had was a bottom 4 side. And it was. I still think that was the case. I think the players and Farke overachieved to get us where we ended up getting to. And we actually deserved more than we got as well. So for me, I can understand why he would be pushing on that. Why would he want to unnecessarily make it more difficult? I think the style is an interesting question, because are we saying that there's a difference between what the club are expecting and what Farke's wanting for the style? That's an interesting question, because again, it comes down to recruitment. You can't make us more expansive without better players. You need better players to be able to make us more fun to watch. I think fans get too hung up on this formation thing, because, we started a lot last season in the 3-5-2 or the 5-3-2, however you want to kind of discuss it. But a lot of the time we weren't playing 3-5-2. We were playing 4-2-3-1. It's just the starting formation on the Sky Sports ticker showed 3-5-2. Yeah, with the wing backs. But if you actually have a look at it, Joe Rodon would end up playing right back, and Bogle would end up playing right mid, and then Aronson would often go into the 10. So the way that it actually plays out on the pitch isn't always necessarily just the way that you set up the formation. It's the profiles and the jobs that the players are asked to do within that style that makes the style. So whether it goes back to a 4-2-3-1 or we stick with the 3-5-2, it won't change on the pitch as much as what you think it will, because Ethan Ampadu drops into the back 3 anyway. Then we end up having a 3-back. What the problem was last season wasn't the formation, it was the style. We improved when we went more direct, and we had to go more direct because we had less talent. That's the truth. And we sat in a little bit more. The extra centre-back gave us a little bit more defensive solidity. But the real change that we made was, let's go and hit DCL. Because we were still trying to play earlier on in the season like we did in the Championship, where we controlled and dominated possession and build up through the lines. And because you've got Brendan Aronson, who I love, but isn't creatively talented in that way, you can't pick up the holes. Jorginho Rutter in that 10, it looks different. Emi Buendia in that 10, it looks different. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm not too hung up on the side. I have a feeling we might go back to the 4, especially if we don't get 2 out-and-out starting centre-backs. Because we've got a situation currently where we're a centre-back down. We probably needed one more new one anyway, and now we need 2. And are you going to do that? Are we going to be spending 40 to 50 million on between 2 new centre-backs? I don't think so. Is Bornau good enough to step up and play week in, week out? I'm not sure. Maybe, we saw good signs of him. It's a tricky one, but the good thing is that we can go from both. We can play in both. We have the profiles to be able to play in both. In people are saying, we shouldn't go back. What do you do in the 3-5-2 with Harry Wilson?
Exactly.
How do you get the best out of Harry Wilson in a 3-5-2?
Yeah. No. Well, this is it, absolutely, and it feels with Leeds, because we obviously look back to what happened Bielsa's second season is where the wheels came off and we were found out. With our kind of style and the way we are, it doesn't feel like there's that vulnerability that we're going to be found out, and I feel like the formation and everything, like you say, I think it's a lot more flexible and a lot more fluid than people realise. And with someone of the quality of Harry Wilson, where does he fit in? It's fascinating jigsaw to put together. I would predict it'll be fascinating to see what lineup it is for that first game of the season, or what the squad is by the end of the transfer window.
Yeah, it really will. I think it'll look very different. I don't think there's any danger that this recruitment strategy will see us not have enough, or not purchase enough to look to try and take us on. I still think we have to be realistic with it, because establishing yourself in the Premier League doesn't take 1 year. It takes 3 or 4. We've seen it with Brighton, we've seen it with Brentford, we've seen it with Bournemouth, we've seen it with others as well, Fulham. You know, it takes time. We've seen it with our own journey as well, and how quickly we went down last time. So for me, anything above 17th is still a huge success. Of course, we want to make it easier. Yeah, I'm very similar to you. Rather than us thinking in, I can't remember when it was when we really secured ourselves, probably around end of April, maybe 3 games to go, something like that. Can we make that 6 or 7 games to go, like it was maybe for a Palace this season, or a Brighton? Were it Brighton that kind of pulled away later on? I think it was Brighton. Brighton, I think, won like 10 of the last 12 games or something daft. But they were hovering just above us for a period of time. It'd be nice to see us just be a bit more comfortable. But even if we have to strap in, I would just say as long as we stay up, that's still a huge success. And I think fans need to just lower them expectations just a tad, because that is still where we're at.
100%. I think what's skewered that a little bit is how well we did last season. The fact that a couple of games went differently, we might have snagged that European place that Sunderland got. And I think, for me as well, what's interesting, and I know you can't read too much into, you know, that last game of the season at West Ham, but if you're not, like Farker always said, if you drop 1 or 2%, because the quality in the Premier League, you can just be blown away at any point. And it's going to be, for me, again, what's going to see us through is heart, desire, commitment, all that kind of stuff has got to be bang on it from game one, which is what we did all last season. We were so, the intensity, passion, the effort was there. And that's got to be there again. That's what's going to see us through, rather than having loads of dazzling bits of quality. I mean, the exciting thing is, I mean, when you look at Okafor, Harry Wilson and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if they're your kind of 3 prongs at the top of the pitch, how many goals and assists between them last season? It's not bad.
It's not very good
at all. Now, my concern is Okafor. I'll be completely honest. I'm still very, I can't think of a better word, suspicious about how fit he can be, how many games he can play, how available he's going to be. I really want us to. I think I'm looking at that position as got to just get something there, because clearly Nonto and all the other options, it's not really worked out, and we don't know what's going to happen with them. But that's the position where I'm looking. We need to add more quality, like, you know, you've mentioned before, so we're not so reliant on Okafor. But there's a few areas where we've got to kind of spruce up, like say the centre back position as well. Now we're down a centre back. Be interested to see what we do there. It's certainly a puzzle that they've got to figure out over the next couple of months. Well, yeah, it's a couple of months, isn't it? Well, not even that now, is it?
There's a lot of moving parts, because the squad after the starting 11 is not good enough.
No,
that's the real issue. You know, you're looking at the bench, and don't get me wrong, there's a couple, and you know, Sean Longstaff is good enough to play Premier League games. Lucas Metcher, but I'm talking, you know, Joe Perreault, Ilya Gruev, who I do like, but still, you know, and then there's gaps, isn't there? We've got no second choice left back. You know, Sam Byram's not signed a new contract as of yet. It looks like he's going to go on and play first team football somewhere else. Not that Sam Byram was a vital cog, but it was still an option within this squad. Right now, we'd be going to the Welsh 19-year-old that we've got to play games. That's a problem. The left side, you know, people have anchored on about Willie Gnonto for years that he should be starting more games. I think more people are starting to realise that he just isn't the grade. That's no disrespect. He's a okay backup option at the Premier League, but he's never going to take you on. He's never going to really trouble Noah Okafor for a starting spot. Like when the team comes out, it's not a case of is Willie Gnonto going to make it over Noah Okafor this week. It's is Noah Okafor injured? Right, he is. So Willie Gnonto plays. That's a very different position to be in. Noah Okafor knows he's going to start week in, week out if he's fit. Noah's got a serious, I'm going to say, attitude issue, even though I think his attitude at Leeds United has always looked good. I don't think his attitude looked a problem at Leeds United, but there's clearly a mental resistance there to be where he needs to be a very elite player. Because if there was, he'd be playing week in, week out over Vargas at Switzerland. Switzerland have got great options in them areas of the pitch. And I don't think there's that much difference between the talent of Vargas and the talent of Noah Okafor. I think it's the attitude and the resistance and the mentality to be able to do 90 minutes at the volume that Vargas does in comparison. And that's why Noah Okafor's had the career that he's had. You know, it's why he's gone over to Serie A and not succeeded, because he's a super talented player.
Yeah.
Teams know that, but he just can't put it all together consistently enough. So we do definitely need another option down that side.
It's funny you mentioned about Switzerland as well, because I think Okafor's only seen about 20 minutes at the end. And it was funny because almost immediately he let someone run off him.
Yeah,
and it's just those little details, isn't it? Where it's like, where's that intensity to do it? Paul, that is why we need to squad build. Noah can only do 60 minutes, but his numbers in 60 minutes is second to none. Yeah, he's got fantastic.
He's very reminiscent of Sinistera. But Sinistera was more from a position of actual out-and-out injuries, whereas I think Okafor's more of a resilience thing. I think it's more of just an aptitude and attitude thing, whereas Sinistera was just a bit broken. He just had proper injuries. I mean, he's just dropped off the face of the planet as Luis Sinistera. It weren't even in the World Cup, was it? And, I don't know even if he's... I know he's been injured again, but I don't know if he's even still at Bournemouth. I don't know if he's gone and left there now. I don't know what he's doing, so...
No. And this idea of building your squad up as well, it's interesting because I agree. I think if you drop that starting 11 we had for most weeks last season, I would guess it would just be about good enough to maybe do what we did last season or thereabouts, maybe a couple of positions lower. But then when you start chucking in Harry Wilson, you know, that kind of thing. I think do you think sometimes fans look at maybe other teams being aggressive in the transfer market, maybe like what Forest did when they came up? And it's like 15 players, you know, and they're looking at that kind of thing going, why aren't Leeds like that? Whereas I think Leeds, it feels more methodical. It feels more like our transfer window last season felt very different to what some other teams were doing, but it worked.
I just think it's funny. I find myself laughing every window, and you know, I mentioned it earlier on this season. Oh, we need to spend, buy cheap, buy twice. And then I list like 4 players that we got for next to nothing that have all been brilliant for Leeds United. The fans, it's almost like every, you know, in Men in Black, the blinker that just erases your memory. It's like fans go through that every new summer. Yeah. And they just forget everything that happened in the previous year or years. Like, it just disappears. So, I think some of it is other clubs, but I mean, most clubs in the Premier League won't have done anything yet. They won't have done anything.
Jadon Anthony, what would we be thinking?
We'd be flapping like crazy, wouldn't we, if we'd have signed Jadon Anthony? Yet Brentford have gone and signed him, and there'll be clubs within the Premier League that are going, oh, Leeds United have signed Harry Wilson, we're doing shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So we just need to calm down, and just relax. Like it's going to be absolutely fine. This recruitment team has shown nothing short of an A- window. And I'm not talking January. We can have his arguments about January. I understand that. But summer windows, they've all been an A- or above. All of them. You can't even debate it with me because they've all been brilliant. So, you know, the Januaries, could we have signed more than just Connor Roberts? I can get on board with all that. But last January, when we were in the Championship, they got it right because we didn't need any more. We went up. Last January, when we signed Facundo Buonanotte and nobody else, they got it right because the squad had what it needed to keep us up. They'll put that money that they saved from January into this summer, just like they did last year. So we just need to just calm and go with it. Like, if we get to the end of the window and we've only signed Harry Wilson and a goalkeeper, I'm going to be stressing. There's going to be problems. Then we can talk and you can come at it and say, yeah, they've been bang out of order. But at this moment, we're not there, are we?
No. What have you made of the transfer window so far? It feels to me a little bit of a window where the big six are trying to maybe reassert themselves, push their muscle around. You know, you've obviously got Arsenal who are just terrorising Newcastle. And, I mean, Newcastle, you know, to be fair, they're signing some exciting players. If they get Mazambi, that's an exciting player. Sorry. But they're being, you know, pillaged. They're, you know, Tonali and Gomes is about to go to Arsenal, and obviously they lost Isaac last year. Aston Villa are currently hamstrung, and then you get the team that finished 17th, Spurs, dropping 250 million, 300 million, and you can't help but think the system's broken when, I mean, Jesus, I mean, there was something I saw where the amount of points Emery's gathered according to net spend compared to these other teams, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, what have you made of kind of the general kind of transfer window around the Premier League so far?
Well, some have gone very early, haven't they, for sure? And there's been a lot of money thrown around. There's been a lot of noise. There's been way more noise in the early stages of the transfer window than there's ever been. I don't know if it's just because the World Cup's on at the same time and football's just still in his eye line all the time. I think I don't get too on with this, like Spurs finished 17, so they shouldn't be able to spend this amount of money. That's not our argument. I think it's just that everybody needs to be at a level playing field. That's the problem. You know what I mean? So, and they're not. There feels like there's hamstrings around Villa and Newcastle that they shouldn't have, that would be able to keep them be competitive with the likes of Spurs. But Spurs make £4 million every home game. So they do have all the necessary requirements on the current quarters and spend. So, sorry, dog's just going mad at the window. Oh. Sorry. Yeah, so I think Spurs spending the amount of money that they have is crazy. But they needed it, didn't they? They needed an overall in that club. They needed to back De Zerbi, and they have. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Put it that way. I feel really sorry for Newcastle. Really sorry for Newcastle, because they're kind of trying to build something, and it just feels like they get the rug pulled under them from wherever they go. And then they're deciding to take the direction in this like kind of young route, which hopefully will give them something in a few years' time. But right now, it doesn't. No.
And they'll get sport off them. They'll get them taken anyway. Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, that's the questions we've had about Leeds' long-term future in terms of how do you punch through that glass ceiling. But I guess we just need to be established in the Premier League before we worry about that. A couple of comments just to get through. Diggler, thanks for your comment, mate. Got to give credit to Farker as well for his input into making the new recruits into Premier League players. Nice. Daniel Farker, a huge congratulations from a Norwich fan. What you achieved with Leeds United last season, hopefully you can finish even higher this season. 2 titles with my club, 1 with Leeds. Respect. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty phenomenal, isn't it, really, what Farker's what he's doing.
The Farker hate needs to be squashed now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I can't wait to kind of see him in an interview or something again. It feels like so long since we've heard from Farker. I want to know what's going on and everything. It'll be fascinating. When are they back in pre-season? Actually, is that
Monday?
Is it Monday? Oh,
Monday.
So we'll start to get the videos, and the World Cup will be coming to an end. Just before we finish up, Jay, England, Norway tomorrow night. Absolutely massive game. What are your thoughts ahead of that? Can we do it?
50-50, mate. I'm pure 50-50. I feel far more confident than I did before the Mexico game, because they showed so much during that game. They showed quality, they showed fight, they showed desire, they showed tactics. Tuchel got it bang on in different phases of the game. But I think I picked Norway as my dark horse before ball were kicked. I thought that they would have a real good chance of getting through to a final, and I really still do. I think we can see that. Like if they were to beat us on Saturday, I'd make them favourites against Argentina. I really would. I think Argentina are there to be got at. So, but we should have the quality. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tough. Try and keep Erling quiet. Yeah, it's gonna be. I don't want to make a prediction. It's gonna be. I think it could go all the way to penalties.
Yeah. Ooh. yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. 10 o'clock kickoff as well, isn't it? So
yeah,
it could be a late one. Good stuff. Right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much to everyone who comments. Some fantastic comments on the video today. I really appreciate that. If you're watching it again later, get your comments in. Please do like the video if you've not done so already, and do subscribe to the channel. Myself and Jay, we will be back with any breaking news at Leeds United, plus our Leeds United latest show next week as well. And stay tuned also for World Cup content for the next couple of days as well. I've been Stephen Brown, with me as ever, Jason Booker. Jason, thank you, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And we'll see you again soon. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.